and welcome to my latest Let's Play, Ghostmaster. This is a game I don't think most of you will have heard of. It's fairly obscure, and there's actually a bit of finagling that has to go about to get it to work on Steam. You have to go download a patch and like drag it into the files and stuff. But I love this game. I had it a long time ago, and actually I just recently lost the CD, but someone was kind enough to buy it for me for Christmas on Steam. So thank you very much to that person. You know who you are. You are awesome. I'm just going to play through this game one level at a time. I'll explain to you sort of how it works when we get in, but it's really hard to explain ahead of time. So let's get things started. Also, terrible video quality, but pretty decent animation. Less so in-game, but who cares about in-game, right? Also, I apologize if the sound balance is a little off. It resets my sound settings every time I start the game up again, so it's hard to test it.
Is there anybody there?
So this was
Your name, spirit?
This is a little interesting how it cuts into the cutscene. I don't know why I find that interesting, but I do. Anyway, onward with the cutscene.
The following hunters have been assigned to you. Treat them well.
So yeah, I've actually played through this game many times before, so I have a pretty good idea of what I am doing, but I'm going to play through the tutorial with the tutorial itself on, because really they do a better job of explaining things than I do, even though we'll have to sit through the camera controls and whatnot. Really, I like this game just because it's got an entertaining art style, a really different way of playing. Just the game itself is not something you see very often, if at all. The music, I think, is actually awesome. I have a lot of it downloaded and on my playlists. Yeah, it's a real shame that this game never got the attention that I think it deserves. And it's a real shame that it never got a sequel or the like, because honestly, I think this game with more places to explore, and well, not explore necessarily, but more places to haunt in and more ghosts to choose from would be really awesome. And there's been like a small-scale petition to get a sequel, and there are people trying to make fan-made sequels, and that's awesome. Unfortunately, I don't think any of them will really come to fruition, but it is cool that there is a slight community out there that's trying. So, without further ado, I'm gonna go... Well, no, let's go into the tutorial first. I'll go into the Google room and show that off later. And, almost every single one of the levels in this game is a movie reference of some kind.
Young Ghost Master, we are taking you to the Kappa Lambda sorority house in Gravenville University. Only a small number of sorority girls are in residence at the moment, but scaring them all away should be a sufficient test of your abilities.
Oh, I forgot to turn on the subtitles again. I will do that when the tutorial is not
Before embarking upon a haunting, you must select your team of ghosts. To play the tutorial, which is highly advisable, click upon Recommend, then upon Go Haunt. You can elect to assemble a team yourself, but you can only benefit from the tutorial with the recommended team. These 6 tabs allow access to 6 different haunter classes arranged in order of power. Sprites will drain your haunting resources the least, and horrors will drain them the most.
So yes, as the woman said, these are arranged in order of cost. So as you can see, this guy, Ghastly, and eventually there's a Headless Horseman and stuff like that. These guys, you will not be pulling these guys out until way later in the game, or in a level when you gain more resources. Or they will be the only thing you have out for some time. And then, of course, they get progressively less and less expensive as you go down, and severely limited at this point. But doesn't matter, it's a tutorial, and we will unlock more ghosts as we go along. You can actually get a few as you finish arcs of the story, but most ghosts you will unlock simply by freeing them from the level, and we will see that later in this tutorial. So let's hit recommended and go on here.
Welcome to the mortal realms, where all your
Hang on, woman. Let me set up subtitles.
haunting will take place. If you need to freeze time or abort the haunting, click on the menu icon bottom left or press escape. If you wish to turn the tutorial off but continue this haunting, click on the menu icon and select options. If you move your pointer to the edges of the screen, you will be able to move around the world. You may also use the arrow keys to move around without changing your viewpoint. To help you keep track of...
You know what? I thought she was going to be helpful, and you know, she might have been, but let me just flip this off. I will talk about it myself. Alright, so the way this game works is you are given an area. Sometimes it's a house, in a couple cases it's a hospital, there is an army base, there's a secret cabin out in the woods, all sorts of crazy places, and they are subdivided into various categories. There are rooms, there are items, there are sections, like this counts as what's known as a thoroughfare, like hallways, paths, things of that nature. And you'll notice as I hover over certain things, certain ghosts on my left side here will glow green. They are able to be fettered, which is like attached to these areas. So as you can see, these two are just inside. They can go anywhere as long as it is indoors. This guy is electrical, so things like TVs, usually lamps, but for some reason that one doesn't count. Alarm clocks, things like that, you'll find are electrical and can be affected by guys like this. This guy is emotional. Now there are some weird ones like emotional, which is, let's see here, what can we find that's emotional? Usually, yeah, if you hover your mouse over the ghosts themselves, it'll show you what they can fetter to. Let's see. Let me scroll. Oh, I see, it's backwards. I believe, yeah, this, I don't know, what is it, a yoga mat or a rug? Something like that. That counts as emotional. This heart rug, obviously, is emotional. So they give you places to plonk them down. There are maps that will not support certain ghosts, so you have to think out what you're going to do ahead of time. So people who've played before have a serious advantage over anyone who hasn't, obviously, like in most games, but more so. So the goal of any game is to scare every single person off of the property or drive them insane. You can have some people insane while the rest run away, whatever. As long as everyone is either gone or insane, you win. And if you see on the people here, I can actually their bio. They have a certain level of terror, a threshold of terror, before they run away screaming from the place. In this case, it is the white bar, and the gray is just excess in case they are really, really brave. Belief is how much they believe ghosts are real. Higher that is, the more you'll actually be able to affect them. So say you rain spiders down on our room with this guy, she's got a bit of belief that would scare her, say, X amount. If this was full, that could actually scare her off in one go. It's a little bit arbitrary. I'm sure there are numbers behind it, but I don't know them, and it never really tells you. And madness, of course, is if you do abilities that cause madness. If they get that up before the terror goes up, they go insane and start gibbering and running around and doing crazy things. You can use certain abilities to find out their fears, things they know they're afraid of. Subconscious fears, things they don't, but will actually terrify them more. And then, of course, their mood affects how they'll be scared. If they're unnerved, they actually get scared more than if they are calm or if they're just sitting around. You can go to the point of view, which shows you what they're doing. And sometimes it's hilarious where they can't see ghosts, obviously, but then you'll see ghost effects happening around them. Kind of funny. And then there are sleeping people, which actually, people sleeping are a fetter in and of themselves. There is a sandman and a horse who are nightmare creatures. They actually fetter to sleeping individuals and have them sleepwalk around the property. What that does is it allows them to be a mobile fetter that allows them to scare all over the place, but they themselves can't be scared, though they can be driven insane very slowly usually. Let's see, what else can I talk about here? There are sections that are outside, of course, since there's inside, and things like that. Oh, and this is our locked ghost. Any ghost that is locked and known, there are secret ghosts, but we'll see one of those when we get to it. Any ghost that is known and locked in the level is in this little box here. You can click on this, or find them and click on them, and hear their little story.
Dreaded dust! I used to command the storms, dearie, but since I went and got myself sucked into this electric broomstick, all I can manage is this infernal sneezing. It'd be a different matter if I got free, mind you. I'd whip up a sword to wake the dead.
Now, I'm not going to go for score here, so I'm going to take the time to listen to all of those. I believe they all have a second thing to say.
Hey, housework! Get me out of here!
Yeah. The voice acting is actually surprisingly good on the whole. There are a couple who are boring or sound disinterested in their roles, but actually the voice acting is quite good on the whole. The exception being the people, who get so repetitive. You will hear certain sounds over and over and over again, and I actually can't remember what they are now, but it will very quickly become apparent which are the repeating statements. So let's actually kick things off here. Usually it is best to right off the bat go for freeing as many ghosts as you can. Some of them you have to do later in the level, some of them are pretty much dependent on finishing the level first. But if you finish a level without freeing a ghost, you will have to go back later to free them. In this case, you need to get Weather Witch out of the vacuum cleaner. However, despite being an electrical fetter, it is blocked because she, with the chain, is fettered to it. So you can't put your electrical dude on there. What you can, however, do is bind Mr. Cogjammer here to the radio above it. Now, ghosts are pretty complicated, so actually let me go here. There is view, go to, very obvious. Bind is what you use to stick a ghost on an object. And just hovering over, actually having them selected, will highlight what they can bind to in green ahead of time for you. Powers, you can select to choose what power level they will work at. If I were to select Spark, he would do Spark. If I were to select Strange Behavior, he would do Strange Behavior and Spark. He will do what you've selected first, and then everything below it as they become available. They have a little cooldown timer, and setting them at this level will take up, in this case, let's say Wild and Crazy, 30 plasma. I have 100, and I'm using 5 just by having him in the area. If I crank this up to 30, he will then be at 35, and I can't use that plasma to summon in more ghosts or use their abilities. So you can have a guy out here, say he's up here at Wild and Crazy, and I bring this guy out and try to stick him up to TK Storm, which is crazy expensive. I wouldn't be able to, but I could go back to this guy, go to his power, set him back down to spark, and then come to here, set him out to something else, and he would actually be able, we'd be able to afford that. In this case, I can't afford the TK Storm anyway, so yeah. Sorry about that. Slight, well-timed, honestly, hiccup in the recording. Let me get back to this. So, let's see, it was on the price of recordings, that's right. Whew, got loud suddenly. So you can have multiple ghosts out at once. You can have all, in this case, 8 out at once. I think there are levels that allow you to have more. But you can bring out all of the ghosts at once. The thing is, you have to be able to afford all of the ghosts at once. So if I were to, then stick Boo in here, you see he costs 10. I don't actually know how you know how much they cost. I will look that up in a bit. Oh, I was going over their details. After powers, there are orders. Because these guys start out minorly trained... Dear God, that is annoying. Zoom way out so it'll be a little quiet. Since they're all minorly trained, like I have not used them before, they have a single order. And I can say, use only the power at your current power band. If I were to select that, and then go to powers and choose, say, Jinx, he would only use Jinx, wait for it to recharge, and then use Jinx again. That is an extremely helpful option to have, because a lot of freeing ghosts, you want to only have a certain thing going on. And then if they start casting other abilities, it's going to get messy. So it is very nice to always have that. That is a default order that all ghosts have. As you use ghosts more often, though, they become more trained. I think the first couple levels are housebroken or things like that, and you get access to not only giving them more orders at once, but more complex orders. There are things like only use when people are around, wander from fetter to fetter as possible, so guys who are inside could actually wander between rooms, and things like that. Next is their point of view, which is this purple here. They can see ghosts, of course, and they can also see the effects and all that. Never especially useful, but sometimes kind of funny. Epitaph is their little description. I don't think I'll go over all of them. Despite them being kind of funny, it would be a long process to go over every ghost that isn't described when you talk to them and look at their epitaph. Although you will also see their level, their type, which is what we saw earlier with the tabs, and what they fetter to. And then bench. Bench just takes them off of their fetter and sticks them back in this box for you. So now, let's actually get her off of that vacuum cleaner. Wild and crazy. As the description says... Oh, hang on.
Okay, dearie. I'm on your team now. Let's blow this joint!
Alright, and that's what happens when you free a ghost. Gives you a little video, and there you go. Let me bench him real fast and, oops. Come on, give me the description. No, I need to know what these do. Come on. Try this guy then. Oh, there we go. No! Well, that was kinesis. It throws things around, but because I cancelled it, it didn't actually do the effect. So even if someone had been in the room, they probably wouldn't have been affected by it. Here we go. Ghost uses telekinetic powers to throw objects around. The one I was trying to look at. There we go. Every device in the area malfunctions. So you would read that and go, oh. And this affects the fetter. Okay, so actually, if I'd used strange behavior, it only would have affected the radio and would have been useless to my goal. Wild and Crazy makes every electrical object in the area screw up. So that would also affect the vacuum cleaner and free her, and it did. So, as you can see, she has thoroughfare. That means there's this little hallway area. There are these paths outside, and I think on the next level, yeah, there's this other little, like, it's not really a hallway, it's kind of like a foyer type thing. Okay, so, every woman, except for the sleeping one, is in this room. And we all know how women love spiders. Let's see, I believe Scattered Swarm, Small Swarm Creepers, Tendrils, Hide and Seek, I think, yeah, Sprites is... These are actually targeted. They will really only affect a single person and maybe some people who see that person. Others, like Creepers and Scattered Swarm, actually affect an area, or if the room is small enough, just the entire room. So let's start this thing off. As you can see, this fills the whole room, and they have all had little red bars that go up that show us that they are in fact being affected. Oh, now they're freaking out. There is a bit of a way to cheat. Normally they will not use another power until the one they're using is done, but if you set them to do nothing and then set a new one, they will actually immediately end what they were doing and start the next one. As you can see, it only affected her, so that's why she's not exactly helpful there. Okay, so all of Cloud Cause's abilities are burned out at this point, so we can start dropping down other guys and seeing what happens. Let's freak some people out with a weirded out TV. Yeah, there she goes. Some of these are not very powerful, and in fact they will only build belief, they will not scare. It sort of depends on the size of the effect. Now you can see they all have these little ×2s floating around. They are actually uneasy, and that means that when you try to scare them, they will be twice as scared as they might otherwise have been. Oh, there we go. She is now terrified and running away. It does not always zoom in like this, except when they're actually, like, on the threshold of leaving. This is just for the tutorial, it's having that happen. Let's go down this dude, and we will set him to do just whatever he wants. And there you go, that's scaring them a bit. And as you can see, as we build up fear, we actually gain more plasma, and that allows us to bind more ghosts and have them do more powers. Oh, this guy's actually fairly well trained. Use powers only if mortal is present. Pick on a specific person. Pick on a specific person type. Do not use any powers, no matter what it's set at, and do not use a specific power, no matter what it's set at. So, very helpful. I'm just going to set it to only work if people are around. There we go. She is terrified. And certain areas have a line of sight. So a person in this room could actually look through this doorway and through this archway and see into this room and see these objects flying around. And it would in fact scare them and cause them belief, and they would run away. So let's watch this woman. She may be able to look in and see things like rattle chains. Actually has a dual purpose. It will cause belief in people nearby, but also it will cause people who are far away to come investigate the noise. There are all sorts of multi-purpose abilities like that. Now, this person has just had their fear discovered. Let's go check them out. No, not view. Not point of view either. There we go. They are afraid of darkness, which of course would make them more terrified outside at night, which I think every level is at night, but areas that are dark. If you cut the lights in a room, I believe there's some sort of like blindness ability at some point. Things like that will scare them away. Ah, and now the "you're doing really well" music has started. This is what happens when you started scaring a bunch of people away. And this music is awesome. Let's see what you got. Oh, you're tapped out. I cannot order you to wait for a person. And she apparently heard the chains and kind of freaked out, but is still going to investigate. What is making that noise? Is the TV on? That TV looks like it's broken or off. Is the radio? God. Okay, go to where is she? There she is. Let's put her outside, set her to do whatever the heck she wants. Siren Song, I believe. Yeah, okay, anytime you see this little thing above somebody's head, it most likely means they are affecting a specific individual or several individuals in an area and doing something to them. Most often, it is drawing them to this point. Let me see. Yeah, it draws it all to its sound. So, certain people who are not running for their lives will be drawn to where the ghost is fettered. There we go. Just took a bit of thunder. There are people who are in fact afraid of weather, and just making it rain and windy outside is enough. And there we go. We get a hooray, you finished the level screen. Gives us the points of everything. And there's a par time, of course, but I took a while because I was explaining things. So I didn't even get any multipliers for being on time. But that's fine. I'm good with that. And there are different states, of course. People who faint if they're too scared. People who scream. Paranoia, I'm not sure how to cause, but I have gotten it in the past. And then, of course, people either flee or they're insane. If you drive them insane, you get more points. But it's a huge hassle to drive them insane, and it usually takes way longer than you have if you're trying to get decent points. You do, when based on your score, however, get gold plasm, and gold plasm is used to buy new abilities for your ghosts, which I will actually show once these are done coming up. So we have Weird Seance and the Calamityville Horror, because apparently this is in Calamityville, and I realize it is making fun of Amityville, but I think they did actually name the town Calamityville just so they could make that reference. But I'm going to head to the Ghoul Room, which has the best music in this game. Seriously.
You may spend your gold plasm to teach your haunters new powers.
Shut up.
To do so,
No,
click
shut up. You're interrupting my music. Tooltip delay. I want no tooltip delay. I want to know what those do immediately. Well, okay, maybe a little bit. Alright, resume training. Excellent, shut her up. So here's where you see all the ghosts that you have. The little green circles showing where people will be, but of course there's no one around now for most of these. And when you click on them, you can read their epitaph. And you see what type they are. Hordes are small base creatures that then send out hordes, of course, of little ones. Not gonna spoil what the other two are, because there are only 2 other hordes in the game. You can see the type of powers that they are allowed to get in-game, and you can see their powers. And of course, you can buy them things like Legion, which is honestly really good, but as you can see, it's also really friggin' expensive. And Arboreal Prison, which would then lock a single person up. Or you can buy really cheaply Flower Power, which I don't need to unnerve people with Phantom Flora, so I'm gonna leave that alone for now. And we have all these various rooms, and we can look at the ghosts that we don't use very often, like the the poltergeists, which actually fetter on children, which is an amazing idea since children are actually kind of hard to scare anyway. And they have similar abilities to that emotional dude, whose name I am blanking on. Shivers, I think it was. Usually they do things to cause unnerving or affect an entire room. There's one later that causes blood to seep from the walls or come out of the sinks or whatever, and things like that. Very cool. And then this is a thoroughfare, so you get the thoroughfare ghosts. I don't know if you noticed, but the ghosts here are actually fettered to their fetters in the ghost room. And you can kind of guess at what you're going to be getting based on where they're set. So, of course, around the crime scene, on the bed. This is just a room. Mirrors, violence, more emotional stuff. This would, of course, be violence also. Because, you know, weightlifters are violent. Emotional, the music room, seems appropriate. And of course we go deeper here, zoom out a bit. And we get the air conditioning unit, pile of dirt, a corpse, a boiler. So it's kind of fun to look at these and try to guess what you're going to get later on. Of course, it's very hard to guess exactly what you're going to get because they have some really weird out there ideas, but several are also movie references, book references, things of that sort. So I actually do not have enough plasma to do anything useful, so I'm going to back out of here, and I'm going to call it there. I'll do these one level at a time. So I believe next time I will be doing Weird Seance. Yeah, I think I'll do that one next. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and, you know, if this all looks fun to you, you may think about checking the game out yourself. It's really cheap. It's on Steam. Only takes a few seconds to download the little fix to make it work on newer computers, and it is just really fun. So, I will see you next time.